Hi, Hunter.
Hey, sorry, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, so I didn't want to risk coming
Share.
in.
Yeah, exactly. Don't share. That's cool. So I'm not gonna say, "Hey, how are you?" I just
Like a
heard.
little summer cold, I think, but yeah, yeah, thought I'd better safe than sorry.
No problems. Well, we're still waiting for Candace and or anyone else. Oh. But I do have a question for you. Two questions. One,
Hmm.
are you up for assuming Sandra does get her act together, designing the flyer for this movies in the park at the sleep shopper? I don't know. Should I
Yeah,
be looking at the computer or the screen? Oh, I'm supposed to
either
be looking
one.
at the TV.
Either one is okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. I work today. I feel fine enough to work. Um, I haven't
She
I haven't
hasn't
heard
been
anything
back.
about her though.
Yeah, it's August 11th, so kind of she needs to get going, but she secured some funding, but it's from a foundation and they want to write a check to another 501c3 in order to pay for the projector and the filming, the licensing and all that. So I don't know if she's resolved that. So
And she just wants a like custom flyer for this one,
well, we need to have a flyer. It doesn't have to be all that custom. I mean, probably look at last year's if you had done last year's, but
probably.
it needs to say the name of the movie, number
Yeah,
one. It needs to make sure it has the UNNC logo on it and any other logos. I mean, in other words, the logo for the foundation. I mean, there's stuff that would have to be on it
okay.
along the bottom. And I don't remember if you or somebody else did the flyer a year ago.
I mean, if it was a year ago, I probably did it. I think that they, the, the city or CD10 usually makes them though. But if
Oh,
we made a custom one, then it's not ringing a bell, but I would have done it.
right, 'cause this CD10's involved, but I don't know at what level. So
I
anyway, so
see.
that's a thing. It's question number one. And then number two on this whole election thing, which obviously doesn't really happen until next spring. They want us to specify a lot of stuff by month. And I'm being very uncomfortable about that. They don't care, however, who is doing the marketing flyers, et cetera. That's not one of the questions on their list. But um, did you do the election stuff this last 2 years? I feel like we
I
just did this a few months ago, and here we are
truly,
again.
I helped. We had Heber who was the like in charge of it because I was up for election, so I couldn't do it. But I did make like a flyer or two. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
because
can't hear you.
I'm sorry, he resigned. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
like halfway through.
who made flyers.
I think Teresa ended up doing a lot of it. Well, I mean, I made flyers, but I think Teresa ended up running it because she was not up for election.
Well, she was, but she had decided not to run.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how we can twist the arm of somebody to be the official election chair if they think they have to do it. So, maybe if I know someone's doing this and someone's doing that, it'd be easier to find the person whose name goes on the form by August 31st. I mean, it seems really early to have
August
the deadline.
31st, you said?
Yeah, we're having an election that's next June, but we have to make all of our advanced decisions right now in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's like one step forward, two steps back with them.
Right, exactly. So, hi, everybody. We can't really officially start the meeting till Candace or Chris or both join the meeting. Candace had said she's coming in person, and I have not actually heard from Chris. Michael is out of the country. So, but we know Candace said she was coming, so, I'm just saying, we can chit chat, but we can't officially start the meeting, unfortunately. You know.
This is
Oh,
how the US government really works.
what kind of government? It really works that we have to have quorum for executive, if that's your question. Yes. I mean, if we end up not having quorum, we can run through things, but we cannot technically can't take any votes and can just sort of have discussion about some of these items.
They said they were coming though. I'm sure they're just a couple minutes late.
Well, Chris didn't say she was coming, but you know what? Unlike Candace, I probably have Chris in my phone. I could definitely then get my phone to work. Call and see if she's coming. Okay. And 100, do you have Candace in your phone? Do you know her number?
Oh, yeah, I can text her.
Thank you. Because I always call her, I have 2 phones. I always call her from the other phone that's not with me.
Hi, everyone.
Hey there, Robbie.
Hey.
So Hunter, how long have you been? It sounds like you've been part of this group for years as well.
Um, maybe about like 2.5 years now. Not
Chris,
too long.
And how did you
Uh,
get started? What brought you into or deciding to
Um,
join?
yeah, I'd been living in the neighborhood for probably about like 5 years at that point, and throughout COVID, and I had felt like, I in just that short amount of time, I had seen it change for better and worse for different reasons. And I just wanted to, do my part to make it a little bit better as much as I could.
Have you always been part of organizations like this, like volunteering and being
Well,
government
volunteering, yes,
and
but never at like a elected
government?
level.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just more like volunteering. But no, this is the first
Is your
endeavor of
background?
this.
Is your background?
I come from journalism. I do
Okay.
journalism. I have a journalism degree. I went into entertainment journalism though, when I moved here, so not necessarily super hand in hand, but I like to think that I know my way around.
Oh, so are you still in journalism or?
Yeah, I do freelance writing. I mostly do like food stories for different couple publications, but I also do entertainment and travel writing for Men's Journal. But I,
Oh,
I work for
nice.
Netflix as my full-time job. I do
Oh,
like marketing for them.
nice.
well, as I was right, so where's your journalism degree from?
Emerson in Boston.
Yeah.
I have a friend who works at Netflix in marketing, Darius. Do you know her?
Darius? I don't think so. I work specifically on awards marketing, so like just like specific titles, really. It's so massive too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Every little.
she also lives in the neighborhood, so
Oh, no way, really?
yeah.
Oh, cool. I'd love to meet her.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
So what kind of marketing does she do, Robbie?
I don't know. I just know she does marketing on Netflix.
Because I actually, somebody else who's in the neighborhood is one of the lawyers for Netflix. But I don't think it's a big company. I don't think they necessarily know each other. But of course, my ears perk up when I hear marketing because, well, when we do elections, we're going to need more marketing. Now,
Yes.
yeah,
I know where this
this
is
is not a
going.
comment, not a comment, just a comment about we have to share the wealth on the work. Anyway,
Mhm.
Hunter, I went to Northwestern for Medill for journalism grad school.
Yeah.
So, but then, that's a long time ago. So the kind of journalism they have there then is not, not what I think is in the programs now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
I
sure,
did.
I mean, I haven't checked curriculum of late.
I
But,
studied broadcast, like television broadcast news, but I feel like that's even less popular than it was when I was there 10 years ago.
well, but at least it's a skill set that is more translatable to the kind of journalism where you also need to sometimes do a podcast or whatever.
Totally. Yeah.
So I took magazine
Oh, I love
focus.
that.
Yeah, but I mean, very little long form writing opportunities available anymore.
Yeah.
Even when I was still working avidly, another journalist I know, and I have made a joke that what the editors started wanting is what we called haiku journalism. You know, tell an entire story in 250 words or less.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
well,
that translated into listicles and got even worse from there.
yeah, so he was really very good at doing that. And it is kind of like poetry. I mean, just use, very few words. Okay. Did you text to Candace?
I did. I haven't heard back though. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just been a minute or two.
I understand. So this one I'm gonna say, oh, here she comes. Yay. I was gonna say, wait till 7:15, but we don't have to, because she's here. Hello. We've been chit-chatting because there's no quorum. And so now there's quorum. Okay, Candace is here. Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and if you say something, I want to make sure the camera goes to you. Okay. And it does. Looks like it does, just by making noise. Okay, so this is I'm calling to order the executive committee meeting of July 21, 2026 for UNNC. And Michael is, as I mentioned, online, but off the meeting. Michael is out of the country, so I will technically do the roll call. Hunter.
Hi, hello, I'm here. Yes, sorry.
Yes, here. Laura, here. Chris. Absent, unexcused. Okay, and I will share the agenda. And for those who are more used to watching regular committee meetings, executive committee does require a quorum. And we do take roll and sort of pay attention to that. So are you able to see the agenda? For those of you.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna have our regular welcome call to order, review of agenda, roll call, general public comments on items not on tonight's agenda. We have a couple of funding requests. And including some additional outreach promotional materials, but only up to $250 because again, we don't have our rollover monies yet, so we have to be careful how we spend our monies. Booth fees up to $750. We have not been informed if that's the price this year. I will try and find out if it's less. We have a request to fund the neighborhood council budget advocates for $250 and a request to fund the neighborhood congress, well, NC Congress of Neighborhoods, up to $250. We want to talk about the neighborhood council end of year review, but it's not something Dunn is requiring this year. But we want to talk about whether we still want to do something at the board meeting in August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we do need to talk about the neighborhood council's elections information worksheet, because we should make some decisions here to recommend to the board that actually has to be voted on at the board meeting on August 6th, because it is due at the end of the month. And we're basically being told that if we don't do it, they're going to revert to the 2023 information when there was in-person voting. So I don't think we want to do that. Meaning, in other words, what's to be translated, where is the location, et cetera, et cetera. I think we want to make our own decisions for the 2027 election. And then we have basic executive committee business and a discussion of agenda items for the August governing board meeting. It says July agenda, and old business, new business, etc. Stop the share. Are there any questions about this? I think we can have a relatively quick meeting. I think we need to do 2 hours. Please God. tonight. That too. So, Candace, I'm gonna hand you the agenda and we have paper. So, are there any general public comments on items not on the agenda for the election? Oh, and we have our mayor's rep who's just arrived, so let's perhaps do official introductions first. Hello, Alan.
Hello. Just came to
So-
just listen in and participate, and hear any community feedback or any
Sure.
updates that you want to do for.
So we're gonna very quickly just do introductions and then general public comments. So my name is Laura Myers.
Candace Jackson.
And Hunter.
I'm Hunter Reese.
And the three of us are officers of UNNC, and then we also have a few other people here. Robbie.
Hi, I'm Rabia. I'm on the board of UNNC. I just came to check out the meeting and also talk about the budget advocates, I guess.
Yes, and promote your request. And
My
Sunman.
request.
Hello, hi everyone. Sunmin, Jefferson Park, Region 5, stakeholder.
Thank you. And Alan, if you could introduce yourself, and noting that we are being recorded and also we're on YouTube, so we don't know who might be there. So they may not know who you are.
Okay, thank you for that notice. Good to see everyone again. My name is Alan Moret, and I do work for the Office of the Mayor, Office of Community Engagement for Mayor Karen Bass. I serve as a representative to the constituents in Council District 10 and wanted to be here on the call to make sure the mayor's office is represented. And if there are any community needs that need to be mentioned or shared with the office, I'd be happy to listen to them.
Thank you very much. And so again, this is a meeting of our executive committee, which is the officers that you can see. And next, are there any general public comments on items that are not on tonight's agenda? And I will have one, but let's see if anyone else has anything. Okay, this is Laura speaking. The Planning Department's zoning administrator will be conducting a hearing on Zoom on Thursday at 10 o'clock regarding the Murphy oil drilling site. And it's technically it's a revocation hearing. And what that means isn't necessarily that there's a revocation, but it's a look at all the conditions that are required for operating an oil drilling operation at that site, and seeing if the operator is in compliance, and if the operator is not in compliance, what should be done? I mean, that's a broad question. Unfortunately, this has devolved into a really very bad situation where not the oil. I mean, the oil is the oil, and it's either, depending on your perspective, good, bad, or indifferent. But the planning department, despite requests from even the council office, noting that the council office initiated this, but requests from the council office, from UNNC, from other stakeholders, from the operator, refused to provide materials in advance to yesterday, Monday. So, and this was even with the public records requests, even with them saying that they're following the municipal code, a specific statute that states that they only need to provide the materials 72 hours in advance. It's not smart to tell people like us the actual statute you're referring to, because it was easily found, and it makes zero reference to a requirement that they not provide material 72 hours. I mean, it makes no reference to that. So in any case, there's a substantial investigation report that's been finally uploaded, but not to the main public portal, but it's been uploaded. It's public, people can find it. With a long list of what they're in compliance with, in, you know, which conditions they're in compliance with, which ones they're in partial compliance with, which ones it's being stated they're not in compliance with, and no recommendation whatsoever. Which it's a very, very, very strange situation. So for UNNC's purposes, I'm going to be able to talk about this and talk about some of the specifics in the report, but we'll be on behalf of UNNC, we'll be requesting that the zoning administrator keep the file open for certainly through about August 10, so that we, the board, can act on whatever, you know, we have the ability to act on now that some of this, you know, some or all of the material is available. Longer would be better. And that's it. So if you're interested in this topic, you should definitely go to the hearing itself. Sunmin?
Oh, I was just going to have a general comment that's not related to anything. Could I?
That's good, because we're not supposed to cross-discuss on general comments. So
Okay.
I'm just informing everybody and updating what my action will be on behalf of UNNC. Okay, go ahead.
So my general comment is, I've just been wondering about the fact that, you know, the tree stumps and the dead trees along Jefferson Boulevard might be a big obstacle, and they might just be there. And I'm wondering, is there any possibility of turning them into an art exhibit of some kind, an experiment in shade? And so I started looking at Shade LA and their website, and they had a contest last year for design, and there were just some really fascinating designs. And I don't know, I was just, you know, reaching out to people who are in the art community, especially Nick Hatem, the developer, and spoke to their office because there's a dead tree in front of one of their buildings. And I was like, you know, hey, do you have any plans for that? What, as a property owner or developer, do you guys do for these dead trees? Like, who's responsible? Because I heard it's like $4,000 or $5,000 to take care of. So I'm just wondering, like, is this like a whole nother department that deals with stumps? And then can we turn them into something like an experimental shade center, or haven't, you know, like reach out and say, you know, let's turn this negative into a positive community asset?
Well, yes, it's a great idea. Obviously, we cannot plant new trees unless the stumps are fully removed of the dead trees.
Exactly.
Same problem on Washington Boulevard. Teresa had managed working directly with the council office, and I am not sure which department. It might have been sanitation, which, while that doesn't make sense, it actually might have been LA Sand that removed some of the stumps. So Teresa is your person. She is, of course, going to be out of town for a couple of weeks. So
I reached out to KYCC, and I'm going to set up a meeting to talk to them about what they do and what they can do about that.
right, our experience with KYCC, but they could have gotten some other funding, is that they can't remove the stumps and they can't plant unless the stumps are removed. But that's just based on the, you know, they'll get funding to do this and not that. So it's possible they could apply for funding to remove stumps. I don't think it's $4,000 or $5,000 to remove a stump, but it's not $1. I mean, it's a, you know, it's not something easily done. And you should probably know if you own your own house and you have to remove a tree stump. Okay. Any other general public comments not on this agenda? All right. So we are moving on to funding requests. The first one, and it's really broad, would be to approve outreach promotional materials expenses up to $250. So I do not have from Sandra any list of actual specific promo items. That would have to be a completely different motion. You know, if she wants to buy pens or more flashlights with UNNC logos on them, we're gonna need to deal with that. Probably cannot do it. So we don't have a lot of little tchotchkes left to hand out at events, but we probably can't do that until the city clerk officially gives us our rollover funds, because we're very limited in our budget. However, we are also out of printed materials. We have plenty of those trifold brochures, not a problem, but we are now out of the double-sided English, Spanish, about UNNC flyers, which could use some editing, but we do need to have them printed, and that's not something I can easily, or anyone could easily sneak through their own, office resources, because they really need to be on a good thick coated paper so that the English side doesn't bleed through to the Spanish side. So that it's not inexpensive to print those. And we have also pretty much whittled down our flyers for our various committees have created certain kinds of flyers. So we have pretty much run out of the emergency what to do in a disaster, emergency preparedness flyers. We've run out of the how to reduce your use of plastic, the flyers about composting your food into the green can. I mean, all the things that we use. Caesar created some flyers related to our greening project. So we just need to get these reprinted in time for the next item on this agenda, the annual Music Under the Stars, or Jazz Under the Stars, in the Avenues, which is on Labor Day weekend. We can't wait till the first Thursday in September to approve printing of that, because the event is the very next day. So we need to be able to take the month of August to print whatever we're going to print for that. So that's this item. Candace, do we have $250?
Yes, so the good news, so we know our budget is smaller this year as of now. But the good news is we have allocated 5,000 of our dollars to outreach. And so far, we have not spent a lot of that. We spent up to $75 for treats, which I think
I spent less than, I think it's like 40 bucks. I'm trying to be cheap.
Yeah,
So just the right amount.
So actual cost is about $40 for that, so we saved some money there. Our last meeting, we approved up to $400 for movies in the park. And then we approved
that's for Sandy.
Yeah, that's for the Leslie Shaw movies in the park. So the first movies in the park at Vinnie Potter is where we spent less than 75 for like treats for families. The one at Leslie Shaw, we
will not understand that one, because we're buying pizza and maybe certainly water. I mean, we're gonna spend that $400.
Yeah, so we submitted an event request, shout out to Laura. So we are officially a co-sponsor of the event, so we have up to $400 to spend there. And then we also approved up to $125 for the orange craft bags to pass things out. So that comes out to $600 allotted so far. So we have roughly 4,400. So I think
some of that has to be held for elections.
Yeah, well, we have elections,
I think it's 2,000 of that.
No, elections is on here separate.
Oh.
Yeah, so elections is $2,500, it's its own separate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we have 5,000 for straight outreach, so we should be fine with these all of the requests.
Okay, well, good.
On this list.
So Hunter, any thoughts?
I mean, on budget, not really. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on $250 for more promotional material.
Yeah, I would say maybe we could just spread that throughout the year. I don't know if we need to do that all right now,
Well, the thing is, we need to print all the flyers now, because we don't know how many are going to be handed out. I mean, I hope we don't have to print more after that. I mean, we do need to have a serious discussion about how to handle bags and flyers at events, because the reason we're completely out of flyers, most flyers, is because at the
that seems like an outreach committee situation.
Well, it is an outreach committee situation. So the outreach committee made a very specific decision at Play Day to pre-stuff all the bags that we had left, and then they handed out all the bags we had left. And I'm not that concerned about handing out all the bags, but you know, some of them went to little kids who wanted a bag to put their coloring book in, but they also got our flyers. And it would be like 3 kids in one family. So we're gonna need to be more judicious about that, because we can't, I just know we're not gonna be able to, you know, we'll get 250 bags for this budget that we have. And we could easily pass out 250 bags at one fell swoop at the, you know, Jazz Under the Stars, if what we're basically doing is standing in the street saying, here, take a bag and it's filled with stuff. So we're gonna, I know I need to talk to her, but we just need a more judicious approach. That, of course, is not exactly pertinent to the motion, which would be to approve $250. Min, are you, your hand's going up?
Well, yeah, because I just want to pitch the, you know, the door hanger thing where, because
Yeah, we can't do a door hanger in this motion.
but as just that idea, because I keep thinking as I'm driving around my neighborhood that there are some houses where I'm like, to get people more involved and aware of what UNNC does, there's a house that has this beautiful tree in front of it, and I just want to let them know, hey, I appreciate you as part of the neighborhood. And I was thinking these could be kind of like, you know, like little notes from the UNNC saying you've just been awarded the Great Neighbor of the Month award or something, you know, that just kind of brings people in, you know, to say, hey, I didn't even know there was a thing called UNNC. They recognize me for being a great neighbor and having a beautiful home or a beautiful tree or taking care of my lawn or something. And then they, you know, when you give somebody a little recognition and you know, I don't know, gratitude or acknowledgement of their part of the community, then I think they get more invested
Sure.
in the community. So
That's cute. I
anyway,
like that idea.
I like the idea. So what we're doing here, just because it's technical, we can do 0 printing at the moment because we have no approved budget for printing promotional materials. So we need to budget it, and then that's not really a door hanger project, because I was going to say we funded door hanger projects. They can be very effective, but they're also very expensive, because these are, to do a proper door hanger, they're like 6 1/4 by 19 inches. It's a die cut something. They need to be very nicely designed. We've done it. It was highly effective. We did it in Jefferson Park when they were becoming an HPOZ. So it's many years ago. And that's what's going on with our company.
I mean, how effective
but
are
the
the
point is-
flyers that we print out? Like, you know, like, are people
Because
really
they're
taking their call
targeted-
to action?
Well, they're targeted, Hunter. The ones that we have are targeted to our committee's work, which is the only ones that we have. I mean, they're just targeted flyers. And we have again, we're not going to reprint the brochures, which may not be the perfect brochures, but we have a couple thousand of them. So until we're out of them, we're going to need to use them. And again, the other flyer that we have and can print, this motion doesn't say we are printing, just that we could, are Spanish and English, with a little note somewhere with Korean referring them to the website.
So just for clarity, so the motion that we would be recommending is just up to 250 for printing.
Well,
And-
promote, yeah.
Oh,
printing-
promotional items.
Promotion, not promotional items, promotional materials, but I think it's really for printing.
Yeah, so
It's
for,
not for tchotchkes.
yeah, so for printing, but I think we could maybe, to the outreach point, like decide like maybe we do 50 flyers and 50 food recycle flyers.
Well, that's what
And,
well,
yeah.
yeah,
Just
well,
kind of make it work inside of the budget.
let me just say,
One.
some of those flyers I can run through our machines. I don't have prices.
Oh.
Our machine, my office, you know, the one-sided flyers are easy to print. The 2-sided flyer in English, Spanish is not not something you're gonna put on a home printer. That has to go to our printer. Last year at this time, just for comparison, we approved $1,500 for printing promotional materials throughout the whole year. And we didn't spend all that money. But it would be irresponsible, we have no plans other than these flyers, be irresponsible to approve $1,500 for mystery things that no one's proposed. Whether it be a door hanger project or you know, somebody else's in the past said, if there's gonna be a public hearing in a neighborhood, we should paper the neighborhood, the immediate neighborhood with flyers about the hearing. I mean, all those things. This is not specific, it's just about printing. Robbie?
Did Sandra ask for this printing, or are we just positively doing it?
Laura, who's got all the leftover flyers, 100% of them here actually at the South Seas House, because we ran out. I mean, the only thing we really have left are the brochures and the city flyers on bulky item pickup, and everything else was passed out at Play Day. We are out of this material. So Sandra may or may not have any ideas, but again, we have to vote in August or we have no flyers for our biggest event of the year, which is the Jazz Under the Stars, where we see thousands of people over 3 days on Labor Day weekend, who are our stakeholders, unlike some of these other events. So, yeah, well, you can't.
So yes, so seeing that this is just our printing allotment and we can decide on which type and how many later, I move that we recommend to the committee that we approve $250 for printing.
So add the word printing onto the governing agenda.
Printing promotional
Materials.
printing promotional material.
Delete the word expense. So the motion will be approve outreach printing of promotional materials up to $250.
Yes.
For use at.
And then also understanding we could add more to this once.
Oh,
we
sure.
roll.
Once we get rolling. So that's Candace makes the motion. Hunter, I take it you have to second it.
I'll second.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and the only voters are the officers, so all in favor? Thank you. Okay, so the next item is the Jazz Under the Stars and the Avenues. Approve booth fees up to $750. So the annual jazz festival is on Labor Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. We have a booth. We invested a good chunk of money last year in getting lights, so that we have a booth that people can go to even after the music starts and it's gotten dark. We have secured the same good location that we had last year on the west side of the street, so that we're not affected by when the event gets really popular and people move their more and more chairs. We got overwhelmed 2 years ago with chairs. So UNNC's booth was in the dark and off to the side, and we had no customers, as it were. So the usual booth fee is $250 a night or $750. We have not received a bill. They're having some issues that's got them slow in starting. I know that we'll have to know for sure the amount. It cannot be higher than this, but it might be lower at governing board. And this is an event that attendance ranges from 4,000 or 5,000 to 8,000 or 9,000 people a year. Many of whom are local neighbors, so our stakeholders. Questions? Comments?
For our new folks, has anybody, have you all been to the Jazz Under the Stars? I know Hunter has, I have,
I have not.
Oh, it's a good time.
Yeah, well, it's pretty huge. It's on Seventh Avenue between Adams and 25th Street. There's probably well over a dozen food vendors, many other vendors. Obviously there's music. There's a MC, so in between the acts, they'll have, piped, DJ kind of music. They do line dancing on the Saturday night. For the last several years, there's been a New Orleans, second line, to open the festival. The Friday night is often, newer acts that, not seasoned, so it's a showcase of young talent. Or young meaning sometimes emerging talent. Saturday night is the big night. But Sunday often has the best music, but the food is great. The atmosphere is great. There's kids running around, there's face painting, and usually Rediscover participates on one night. And I mean, there's, kids activities. And again, the street is completely closed, so it's safe for the kids to run around without their parents. Yeah, what else can I say about it? I mean, you were a vendor one year.
Yeah, it was a good time. Someone asked me, what happened? I'm like, I'm too busy. No, I just switched up, so I'll think about it.
Right. But it's a very rewarding. Alan,
Who are the organizers of this event?
the West Adams Avenues is the primary, the organization that is the primary backer. It's the funding, a lot of it comes from the filming that is in this neighborhood. Council District 10, and they're going to be taking a larger role this year due to some illnesses, some people who are usually in charge that aren't going to be as involved. West Adams Heritage is the entity that provides the event insurance and some monies. So I'm saying that I'm on its board, but it's a sponsor. UNNC is not really a sponsor, but it's sort of treated as a sponsor just because. And they have other sponsors, but it's basically organized by the Avenues Association, working in concert with CD10, but it's not a city event. But CD10 provides, like a stage and bathrooms, and lots of chairs. Anyway.
All right, so
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more questions, thoughts? I move that we recommend to the general committee that we spend up to $750 for participation in jazz booth fees for jazz hunters.
I'll second.
Thank you. And just also by way of explanation, we are allowed to pay booth fees. We cannot give an NPG for this because the Avenues is not a 501c3. And they're using commercial money for it. Okay. Any other discussion? So voting. All in favor? It passes. Okay. Request to fund neighborhood council budget advocates up to $250. Robbie, you're on. They tell us what that's for.
Hi, so the budget advocates used to get $10,000 a year from the city, but now they get $0. So for the past 2 years, they've relied on donations from neighborhood councils. It pays for budget day, which costs about $20,000. The city does not waive any fees, so they have to pay for city hall, they have to pay for staffing, lights, everything. They do provide some food, and they really are just asking for donations so they can continue operations, continue doing budget day, and continue, making sure that we are communicating with the city about our ideas and wishes for the budget going forward.
Right, and can you explain, just because we don't know who is on YouTube, what are the budget advocates?
The budget advocates are a group of people appointed by neighborhood councils to be budget reps and then voted in to be budget advocates, but any stakeholder can be a budget rep, and any stakeholder can participate in the budget advocates. What they do is they meet with all 40 departments of the city and go over the upcoming budgetary, whatever the mayor's office is planning to do for the budget for the upcoming year. They meet with those departments to see what the plans are, to make their own recommendations based on stakeholders in the neighborhood councils in the neighborhoods in Los Angeles, what they would like to see in the budget, and give their recommendations.
Sunman?
Yeah, so how have the meetings been since the budget day was fantastic and I thought it was very educational. I was glad, that they were doing that. But since then, how have the meetings been? What have they been saying? What are their priorities?
The meetings have been good. Our priorities are organizing into groups to meet with all the departments. That'll be in September, October, and then preparing to do the white pages. There's a training on the 25th, and I believe there's maybe another training, and they're moving forward.
What was the topic of the white pages?
The topic of the white pages will be whatever we discuss with all the departments, and then we put our findings into the white papers for every department, and those will be the recommendations from the budget advocates, the budget representatives, and any stakeholders who want to participate about what they believe the city budgetary priorities should be
And
for
what do
the
you think,
upcoming year.
what do you think would be for the UNNC? The budget priorities for UNNC?
Street
Those are-
lighting, we want street lighting, we want clean streets, we want all of our city services to be provided to us.
And a
No,
lot with
this is-
the master green plan for room for improvement for green spaces and stuff like that too.
Right. I was gonna say UNNC, this is Laura speaking. We haven't actually ever voted, ever, 20 some years, on what our budget priorities would be. We haven't. I'm really glad is doing this because we haven't participated very often in the budget advocates. We had a prior board member once before who did. And then many years we did not. And that's mostly because our UNNC, budget priorities, they had broken them down by region. It was much more, I think, strictly bureaucratically. They wanted to know what the region wanted. And we had a problem with that because we were regionalized with a lot of neighborhood councils that would have had different priorities than we did. So that's why. So we cut off our noses and spited, that's not the right word, our faces, and did not participate at all for a long time. So I'm glad we're participating, but Hunter's correct. Our budget priorities would in fact include a lot more monies for things related to trees, green, climate change, shape, heat.
The budget advocates are looking at things through the region, but also through the city. And what it is reflecting on the planned budget by the mayor, examining that with the departments. For each individual department, there are 40 departments. So it's not just parks, it's also street lighting, it's city council, it's the city attorney, it's the, office of the CAO, the city administrative office. So they weigh in on every single department and talk about what those departments are planning to do with their money. This is a way for us to keep an eye on what the city is doing and see, make sure that our priorities as a city, not just a region, are, being met. So, like I said, anybody from the city can participate. The budget advocates do have more responsibility, but like it's citywide. And as a community, as a city, like, we want to make sure that they are budgeting money for parks, they are not wasting money on, whatever they are, because a lot of it is just going to be budget cuts. So it's a way for us to see where the budget cuts are, tell them things that we don't want cut, tell them things that we do want to spend money on. It's not only we want like money for the green project. It's going to be, we would like money for parks, for neighborhood beautification, because we can't, the city departments aren't just region CD10 gets this. But that being said, we should put more pressure on our city, on our council office to get more funds for our projects, for the things that we want to prioritize.
Right. And this is Laura speaking again. It would, if we ever had an agenda, a governing board that didn't have 20 things on it, which hasn't been the case for some time, it would be interesting to have a discussion as to, I mean, in other words, when I looked at the budget, proposed budget last April, and I don't know what the white paper from the budget advocates said about animal services, but they couldn't possibly have been responding to the proposal the mayor actually made, which was to have $0 in the budget for animal food, the pet food for the shelters, and instead rely on the nonprofits to help provide the pet food for all the animals that are in the shelter. Sorry, Alan, I'm being critical, but in any case.
No, tell Karen what we said.
That's okay. No, I need this input. I appreciate it.
But I will say, there's no way that the white paper could have anticipated that little aspect of the budget last year. I don't know if you feel, but it would be something that isn't, I mean, in other words, UNNC could have voted on it, but it just happened real fast. And I don't even know what the final result was.
So like the way the budget advocates work is that we're trying to meet with the departments in September, October, and prepare the white pages then. And then I believe the mayor will do their budget in like November and send that out to the department. So we're trying to get ahead of what is happening so we know and we can give our thoughts. But I think the best way to go about it is not that like UNNC is debating the white papers, because that's too late. The best way to go about it is to have people attend these meetings with the departments. So there's always you don't have to be a budget advocate to attend the meetings. And, I will make sure that people know about the meetings that are happening, and like you can sign up for the committees. And the committees are usually 3 to 5 people because there's 40 departments. So, if people feel strongly about animal services, then like, I'm not sure. I have the list of all the departments, but you can like go to those meetings because there's only like 1 or 2 of them. And then they prepare the white pages, but you could be on the committee, you could help with the white pages. It's a way to get ahead of the budget so we can try to have our voices heard. It's okay. Because like the white papers come out, it's a little too late. So what we want to do is get people involved. And I'm also going to be going to like the other neighborhood councils within CD10 and telling them to get involved with the budget advocates. That's something that they asked me to do. And there's only 2 reps, 2 budget advocates from our district, me and someone from West Adams, Sochi. And the 2 of us are splitting up the other neighborhood councils, and we're going to go and give our, updates there and try to get more people involved.
Can I ask a question of Alan?
Well, you can ask, he can choose to answer. Go ahead,
So
Sandra.
Alan, do you have any recommendations for how to, since now you're our community rep, as to how we should or could interact with the mayor's office? And have you experienced successful like budget advocacy from the level that, is coming from the community and how it percolates up? Do you have any advice?
Sandman,
I
are you
would say-
asking him to, I'm sorry, Alan, are you asking him how community members could not interface with the budget advocates and rather interface directly with the mayor?
No, just what his experience is in with the budget advocates and this whole process, because I don't know how the mayor's office deals with the budget advocates, and I don't know what the budget's process is. So I've just been learning for the last half year or so. So I just thought he would have an insight.
Okay, well, now after I interrupted you, Alan, go ahead. Sorry.
I would say operate with the process that has been historically in place. I think that is the best way to do it. I know that is probably the best way to go about advocating and getting involved in the budget process. Of course, you can share any notes with me, email them to me, and I can, share them with our budget team internally. But I believe the process is an effective way to advocate for what you want to see in the next budget.
All right, well, the actual budget, the actual agenda item is to ask the question, can we recommend to the governing board that we fund $250 to the budget advocates effort? And I think that's reasonable. I mean, they're needing a lot more money than that, but I think it's reasonable that we dip into our wad and give a little bit at least to them. So. Okay. And would this be outreach as well? Would this be outreach? I don't know. I guess I'll ask you, Robbie, would this be considered an outreach expense? Do you know, or is it a administrative operational expense? If you know.
I'm not sure, but does it say it on they provided a sheet that has some
It's
information.
it's just a payment request. Okay, well,
So
Okay.
last year we ran into an interesting thing with the Congress of Neighborhoods. So if this is a similar type deal where you're giving money to another department or something,
It's
it's a special.
there's a
way.
special form.
So
we know
could-
that.
So we could approve the amount and then I'll email our rep and ask him what paperwork we need to do to get it.
Yeah, well, we have the paperwork. I just don't know which category of our budget it comes from.
Right, so can we just approve it? and
Yes,
then
we can.
Yeah, okay, so I move to approve $250 to support the budget advocates.
Thank you.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor? Passes. Very similar but different request to fund the Congress of Neighborhoods up to $250. I don't know how the budget advocates work. The Congress of Neighborhoods, at a level of $250, we'd be considered a bronze sponsor and would be in the digital promotional materials. And this is an event that takes place the last Saturday in September at City Hall, about 800 to 1,000 attendees. It's an excellent event, but even if it was a crappy event this year, we would have, funded it and got it. So I know this is an outreach expense. I think we should do it.
Yes, I mean,
Mhm.
so the thing we run into sometimes is the process. That's what happened last year. I tried to do the outreach and then, so it's a processing thing. So I can just recommend that we support them and then not.
And right, and we have a new funding rep, so we don't even know, we have to have
That's
that.
fine.
Okay.
So any thoughts or questions about the neighborhood Congress of Neighborhoods? That's also a pretty good event, been to a couple times.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've gone the past 2 years. It's always fun.
right.
I haven't been, but I'm looking forward to going this year.
I've been many times, says Laura, and I've been roped into once again, moderating a session.
Yeah.
That relates to planning and zoning, of course.
Okay, so I move that we approve $250 to support the neighborhood council Congress of Neighborhoods event in September.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? There we go. All right. Item number 4, Neighborhood Council end of year review. So last year, the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment actually sent out forms and asked neighborhood councils to assess their successes and failures and blah, blah, blah. That hasn't happened.
Not yet.
But what we did do in relationship to that at our governing board meeting of either July or August, is that Candace created a presentation that also related to it. Remember, we collected the photos and things. So we don't have to do that kind of self-assessment. My question is, do we want to do some sort of assessment year in review and present it as the first item at the August board meeting? 10 minutes, 12 minutes. We don't have to. I'm just asking.
I still have the feedback poster I just saw today. It was like, yeah,
That's from the retreat.
yeah.
But I mean, we did do a lot of stuff in this last year. So the only question is, do we want to make it into something? We're not. It's okay because it involves, work.
A PowerPoint.
It involves a PowerPoint of some sort.
A simple overview that's not too long, like
Right.
this many MPGs, this many events, many volunteers. It doesn't have to be as detailed as what the city asked for. If
No.
they don't ask.
Because they haven't asked for it. I don't think it's gonna be asked for.
Oh.
But do we want it, it's just really, do we want it as an agenda item and is anybody willing to work on it? Oh, that would mean Candace and Laura. Do you have time?
If I do some of it this week, when is the meeting?
August 6th. Couple weeks. What do you think, Hunter? You're just kind of staring off. You're
If
thinking-
Candace wants to do it, I mean, she did it in the past. If we don't think that we need to do it for the city and it's just giving her more work, then I'm not saying she needs to do it. But if she has time to do it, great.
Well, it would be different. So it would just be like a quick summary. So like for the budget stuff, I kind of do it anyway. So I could, like, it's in my notebook, like we've did this, mentioned many MPGs, we spent this much money. Maybe the longer part is uploading pictures. That's where I
can help with the photos.
Question, do we have the pictures? I mean, last year we had a lot of photos. And also we didn't have a lot of photos, so I mean, yeah, well.
I can help with photos, that's for sure.
Well, right, because we need to collect and put them into a folder so that then Candace has access or I.
Yes.
To
A Google Drive, yep.
Yes, into a Google Drive folder. So, well, let's try and do it. We don't have to vote, but
okay.
Obviously, if it's not accomplishable, I need to know by.
I mean, so we're just talking about like
take 10 minutes.
5 slides that just kind of list the stuff, and the pictures can be like an additional.
Correct.
So I will commit to doing the words.
Okay, well, I'll commit to selecting photos if we can get a drive going where people can upload their photos so that I have photos to select from. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, in other words, I know I can look at our Facebook pages as well and pull down photos that were uploaded. But okay, well, let's try and do this. But what I'm saying is, if we get overwhelmed, I would need to know by, let's say, July 31st that we're not doing it, so I don't put it on the agenda. So it's not on the agenda. That's all. Okay. So the next thing is the neighborhood council elections information worksheet. So we do have neighborhood council elections this coming year. And we are actually in the very last group, June 12th elections, we're in election group 6. I'm giving you the timeline. So we don't have to do a heck of a lot of work on the election itself until after the holidays, basically. Because the candidate filing period begins on January 28th. So it's a month later than last year. I don't know, our election is 2 months later than last year, but the deadline, they've stretched out the time period for doing election activities. Because last year we had to file beginning over, right before the holidays, with the final date was something like January 18. And then we had our elections in early April. This time it starts the end of January, but the election's not till June 12th. So I'm showing you the timeline. Basically, candidate filing begins January 28th and ends March 29th. So that's 2 full months for people to file to run for office. Then the list of certified candidates is released to us and to everyone else on April 13th. But usually a lot of this material is available online as we go along. So when individual is certified to run for election, they show up. I mean, you can track who's running, how many people are running. And then the ballots are mailed, for those who apply for absentee ballots, they start mailing them on May 8th and finish mailing them on the 24th or so of May. So in other words, there will be some vote by mail. However, and I'm just showing that you this, then again, election day is June 12th. I'm going to stop the share. However, the election is primarily in person this year.
So not like.
It's in person. Yeah, because we're doing it 100% vote by mail, well, didn't work very well. There was not a great deal of response. So the thing is, last year we had intended to have 3 phases. We had the phase where we were soliciting candidates. Then we had a phase where pre-planned, we were going to have a phase where we were going to have meet the candidates and also how to help people apply for vote by mail. And then the third phase was the get out the vote. We do not need to do a lot of focus on how to apply vote by mail because it's not the primary thing. So I just don't think we need to have a whole session. Here, we'll help you fill out your vote by mail. I think it's unnecessary because we're going to have an in-person where we really need to focus on getting the vote out in person. We ended up only having 2 phases because we did not have much in the way of contest. If you recall, I think we had one contested seat where there was more than enough people on the, that there was more than the one person on the ballot. So the problem is that we have to make some other important decisions at our August meeting. So I'm just sort of stating the primary thing is we'll be running this a little bit different. We won't be doing 3 phases. We'll probably be doing 2 phases. That may or may not change our budget, but it doesn't change much of anything else. So more importantly, we have a deadline of the end of August, which means we have a deadline of our August 6th board meeting to actually approve our worksheet. And can you guys see this on the screen? The election worksheet?
Yep.
Okay. So again, the deadline is August 31, but it requires a BAC. So our choices are approve it on August 6th or have a special board meeting sometime later in August. We don't want to do that. It's hot, it's summary, complications. So this worksheet, we need to select our 4-hour window or 6 hours. between 9 AM and 8 PM on Saturday, June 12th. The thing is that when I've read the more detailed election handbook, they make clear that they need to have 1 hour before the election and 1 hour after the election access to the polling place. So if we're going to use one of our 2 libraries, we would not, normally we would like a time of 10 to 2, but the library is not open until 10. So we would need to do 11 to 3 if you want 4 hours, which you would, so that they can come in at 10 and stay till, closing of the library. So we need to consider that. I want to go through all of this and then we can come back and should discuss. We should be making a recommendation ideally tonight so that the board does not spend a lot of time on this. And we should have our recommendation all kind of good to go. Okay, so we need to know where it is, address, location, contact name, blah, blah, blah. Have you made contact with this location regarding the election? She says optional on this, but no, we're going to not make that optional. We need to know if the facility is going to be available to us so that we don't, if it turns out it's not, we don't want to be assigned a random other facility. The facility has to be ADA approved. And not only that, it has to have parking. So that totally eliminates the Gramercy apartments, because they're saying they have to have dedicated parking for the poll workers. I don't know that they care about people who come in to vote, but for the people who are staffing it, there has to be a parking lot. And there's a couple of other rules. So it does eliminate the Gramercy apartments, unless we could arrange parking at the nearby church. Robbie.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, can we just have parking nearby that's guaranteed? But you said maybe we could at the church.
Maybe, but I'm not sure, because then in effect we're getting 2 facilities. So, so I'm not sure. In other words, we may need to do some homework on this. This came up very suddenly. And then translation. The documents below would be automatically translated into Spanish, Korean, and Chinese and made available upon request. So do we want the candidate filing form translated in, and don't answer it right now, I'm just reading out loud, then we're going to come back. The candidate filing form translated into Spanish or Korean. We want the voter registration form translated into Spanish or Korean. We won't need Chinese. Do we want a polling place interpreter in Spanish or Korean? And again, we'll come back to that. Then the next thing is we need to decide on August 6th, who is the election committee chair. And also, and I see Sandra has joined the meeting, who is our outreach committee chair? And that's of course Sandra, but she may not wish to be the outreach committee chair for the purposes of this form, because I don't, we'll hear from her once I take the form down. And then beyond that, who is the secondary contact name? That's usually the president. So usually the outreach chair is not a contact for them. I don't know why that's on this form. And then we'll have to certify this. So, so Candace has left the room. So I'm going to throw out my thoughts first on the translations, because it's, I think, do I need to keep this up while we talk about it, or can we have a, guys?
No, you can take it down.
Because Candace and I have the form right here in front of us. So on translations, I think the voter registration forms should be in the multiple languages, but I think the candidate filing form should not. And the reason I think they should not is just based on how we operate and really how the neighborhood council system operates, I think it would be very difficult to have somebody on the board who does not speak any English and would have needed to apply to be a candidate while speaking only a different language, but that may be an appropriate thing for me to say. What do you guys think, since it's apparently an option?
What stuck out to me is that it doesn't say how much it would cost for each. It says each language might have an undetermined cost. That seems kind of outrageous.
It does not, let's see. Oh, well, the neighborhood councils might be required to contribute an unspecified amount for each additional language. I think additional language is beyond Spanish, Korean, or Chinese.
Oh, okay.
You know, so in other words, there may be a neighborhood council that has Filipino or Tagalog. Or, you know, I mean, we are a diverse city.
Sure, but they're not going to charge us for if we.
Bangladesh, but they're not going to charge for Spanish or Korean.
Okay.
That's
Then-
at least how I read this. But again, it's. I think we should have polling place interpreters. I think the voter, you know, everyone should be able to.
I can see them charging for a polling place interpreter because that's somebody that we have to pay for their time. You know, I think that'd be great, cost depending, because we don't have a lot to spend. You know.
Right. Yeah, this form doesn't really tell us. It may be that the whole handbook.
They want all of the information, but they're not giving us information in return.
No. There's a like 80-page handbook, and your question might be answered in the handbook. I don't have the handbook.
I see. I mean, that sounds fine to me. I think that if they're not going to charge for it, we might as well do all the languages that we can for free.
Right, but my question is, do you agree with, like I said, my probably inappropriate comment? Do we want the candidate filing material? I want to run for office and have a seat on the board. Do we want the translations?
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but like if it's not going to cost us anything to make them in different languages, why not be inclusive? You know,
Because it'll cost us a lot of money during the course of the year if we have to have translators present at every meeting.
Do you think that somebody who doesn't speak any English is going to apply? Probably not, right? We might as well have the option.
Yeah, I don't want to be argumentative. I'm concerned, you know, that we not have board members who are unable to fully participate.
But I think they should still be, you know,
All
given
right,
the opportunity.
so we think that's a yes.
I'm happy to be outvoted,
Spanish and
but
Korean, not Chinese.
if they're going to charge us, for these flyers, that's a different story. But if they're happy to print them out for free, then I feel like why not? You know.
Okay. Anybody else have thoughts on this? Any cares? All right.
I do. I think we're saying two different things, right? One thing is definitely having the flyer information in the different languages, but I think there would be a concern to have someone on the board who doesn't speak English.
I agree. There would be, but does that mean that we shouldn't print out forms in other languages?
Well, if we print out forms, then we're opening the door to have people to come on the board that don't speak English.
I feel like that door should be open. Even if nobody walks through the door, I feel like we shouldn't be closing that door, you know?
Okay. Hunter,
again, if you guys think it's unnecessary, that's fine. I'm not going to fight about it, but
not so
like
much as unnecessary. I just think that we might be opening a door to something that will become a little difficult too, because then we'll have to have a translator at the meetings, because if they don't speak English, we need to understand what they're saying and they have to understand us. So I think we might be opening a door to a bigger situation.
Okay.
Just saying.
well, this is Laura speaking. If we were able to control the content of the candidate filing form, such that it indicated what our typical activities were, and you know, blah blah blah, and that we don't normally have translators at the meeting. If we were able to say that, but we're not. These forms are standard. So you know, we don't have a good way of communicating. Now, I will say, there are neighborhood councils where English is not the primary language. The neighborhood council in, essentially in Chinatown, Chinese is the primary language that the neighborhood council is conducted in, which has offended some other people. So, but our activities have been, I mean, we just haven't had a situation where we didn't have English speaking board members. So, you know, I just don't know. I can discuss further with the clerk to see how this would really work. Cause
It's okay.
I'm
If we don't think that, if we think that we're opening up a can of worms, and you don't need to talk for just on my behalf. That's fine.
Well, no, I'm uncomfortable with saying no. I wish they never asked us. I mean, you know, I mean, it just is like, ew, if we say no, we don't want the candidate filing forms translated. They're gonna say, well, so does that mean you don't want, you know, better than 50% of your stakeholders available to run? Right? I mean, so I guess I'm uncomfortable either way. Robin.
Have we encountered a lot of residents, stakeholders in our area that don't speak any English? I've only been doing this like a year, but
Well,
I
define
would say,
encounter. I mean, for example, Grace Yu's mother does not speak English. Period. Grace speaks English, but her mother does not. So she brings
without
her.
getting into specifics, I mean, I feel like walking around the neighborhood, I encounter people who English is not their first language. I don't know if they know English, but
Yeah.
well, I realize that people who don't speak English live in our neighborhood. But what I'm asking is like, do they participate in a lot of events, and do we see them a lot?
I
You mean
see.
see them at our events? We haven't done a lot of outreach in foreign languages, as it were. So it would be, you know, like our MailChimp e-blasts are not translated into two other languages. So we're not reaching them, but and we should. I mean, always our election materials are in all three languages, always. And our website is you probably don't know it if you don't speak the other languages, but you can go onto our website and click a button and it becomes in Korean or it becomes in Spanish. I don't know if that's well promoted on the website, but that's there, it's in place. That's okay. Let me talk to our clerk, the clerk who's running the election, find out how common it is before our board meeting. Find out how common it is to translate the candidate filing forms, because it may be that this is a brand new thing they're trying, or it may be that they've been doing it for years and we just didn't know. So, all right. I think we need to talk about the polling location. We've bounced in discussions between the two libraries, Washington and Irving. I mean, in discussions over the years, and the Jefferson branch. When we selected Jefferson branch last time, just to have a drop-off box. Remember, and they wouldn't even let us do that. They wanted only one location. So we cannot do the South Seas house where we're sitting today. It's not fully ADA and does not have dedicated parking. So we don't need to discuss. I mean, my preferred place would have been South Seas house, but we can't. I am wondering, do we want to do either of those libraries, or do we want to reach out? I have this thought to ADAP, which is the 29th and Crenshaw.
That's
They
smart.
do have a conference room. They do have a large parking lot.
And she comes
to our meetings.
Yeah.
So I wonder if we wouldn't want to, and it's visible location. So I wonder if we wouldn't want to at least try that.
I'm happy with either the libraries or this. I don't know if there's any downside to any of them, but
I think the Washington Irving's parking lot.
Well, yeah, Candace didn't. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So if I were choosing between the two, Jefferson's closer to my house, however, I think the parking lot for Washington Irving has more space. The Jefferson Library, love it, but the parking.
Well, I'm not sure the librarian would allow dedicated parking spaces for poll workers at the Jefferson branch. I mean, what do you think, Sandra? You go to the library on Saturdays, would there be parking?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's always no.
That's what I said,
Oh,
the
no.
parking is.
No,
Yeah.
and the librarian would not allow like
Wouldn't
5
be
spaces
able
dedicated-
to. No.
Yeah,
Well, I have a
Alright.
relationship with the church across the street. If we wanted to, as another, ADAP sounds really good, though. I think because she comes to the meetings and stuff,
Uh-huh.
it would really work. But if not, we could ask the church across the street from Lady Shaw Park. I have a good relationship with the pastor there, and there's a nice parking lot.
What's the name of the church again?
Westminster Presbyterian Church.
All right, I'm
Okay, so
sorry, I have to go, but good night. Thank you. See you
thank
later.
I-
Okay, so I'm gonna. Cause we don't know if any of these are available. So.
Might as well reach out to all three.
Sure. So what I'm gonna ask our person at the clerk's office is. You know, we have three possible locations, but the third one, Jefferson Branch Library or Jefferson, however it's called. Would we be allowed to have the church donate the parking for the dedicated parking for the poll workers? Would that even be something approvable by them? And if the answer is no, that one leaves our list. And then obviously I'll reach out to ADAP as our preferred.
Or we could just ask the church if they have like a hall, they can just host it.
I'm not sure. I'll ask that question too. Can,
They do have a basement hall. They do.
oh, right. Well, if we're allowed to ask a church, can they host, then there's any number. McCarty Church has a whole basement and 30 parking spaces. They have a congregation that's very small and they don't meet on Saturdays. There's obviously Holman, but they tend to charge money for these things.
Yeah, they only do.
And we only have $150. That's what Candace just said. Okay, so I'll ask if the church can host, though, because that is another thing. I have a feeling the answer to that is also no, but we'll find out. Elections chair. I have a thought, she is not here. I think the election committee chair primary role is really a marketing. Their primary thing is kind of
Outreach, for sure.
well, first, no, deciding on,
No.
the last couple of years, we've used the same sort of I want to say imaging or brand. It's like your voice counts, your vote counts, and we use a collage. We would use new collage, but a collage of our diversity, people, the community. And, so that's what the theme we've used in the last couple of elections. But it is the election chair kind of brands what we're doing and also creates a timeline of events that we're going to use to market the election. So, but I was thinking, I haven't asked her, but I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be recorded, of asking Siobhan if she would think about doing, because she does have marketing as her background. I don't know if she would feel comfortable taking on the task, but she doesn't have a major task like each of the rest of us on this call do. So that's my view of the election chair. The president is almost inevitably the co-chair. So whoever is president this coming year would be the co-chair. And that's pretty normal. And then the outreach chair, Sandra, you can decide now if you want to. You are our outreach chair, but do you want to be the outreach chair for the election? Or you get to think about that. But in other words, it's not quite the same thing as the marketing, the branding, helping figure out the design, figure out what's gonna be on our website. You know, that would be working with Hunter, but not making Hunter be in charge, because he's in charge of all the other marketing and communication. So it's complicated, but we're gonna have to set somebody in August. So I'm gonna, unless somebody else is just wildly raising their hand saying, I'll do it. I don't think so. I'm gonna ask Siobhan if she would, and I don't know that the answer would be yes, but I'm gonna ask her. It does have to be a board member. Every other person on the committee, it has to be a board member whose time is not up, meaning they're not set to run. So if their time is up, they can do it if they're not gonna run, but it cannot be someone who's actively gonna be a candidate. Every other member of the committee can also be a candidate and can be not on the board. But the election chair has to be that kind of magic person whose term is not up or who is not gonna run. Okay. And these are all the questions. Oh, time. If we're doing a library, are we good with saying 11 to 3 rather than 10 to 2? So that they have their hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing to consider, it's not for this election information worksheet. Depending on where we have the event of the election, do we have a nearby event to at the same time to encourage participation? Obviously, if it's at ADAP, we're not having a nearby event. There's someplace to have a nearby event at. We did have a couple of years ago when we used the Washington Irving Library, we did have an event. It was not successful. For many reasons, I guess, but the environment, the Earth Day, we had an Earth Day festival, just based on the timing. We had an Earth Day festival and it didn't have good attendance. So I can't say much more than that about it. It just didn't work. Other neighborhood councils have big events that do work. NANDC, that's the North Area Empowerment Congress, North Area Development Council. They just always get a hot dog vendor. I mean, they give away food 100 feet away from the polling place. just saying. 100 feet away. I don't know that we have that kind of money, but anyway, so if we use Washington Irving, there is a coffee roaster now on the corner of Washington and Norton. They're not open in wholesale, but they keep threatening to be public, open, but they might open for a day. Anyway, not on this form. But that's the kind of thing we need to think about. All right, I'm going to move on. And I guess I'm going to make contact with those things. Candace, Executive Committee business, Treasurer's report. Any budget adjustments if or as needed? I don't think we need to do it.
Nope, we've only spent $210.54 in our budget. 40 of that was outreach, and the other expense was meeting for food. Meeting for food.
Meeting food.
Yeah. So
okay.
We have $24,789.
Okay. President's report. I'm going to do Vice President's report. President doesn't have much of a report. Has anyone besides myself taken the new funding training? I think I think I did, but it's just stupid. It's only 15 minutes. It was the only thing available to me, and it's 15 minutes. I mean, they're making this huge thing about it's important. It's all new. It's got, lots of bells and whistles, and you've got to learn everything. And then it was 15 minutes. So I am thinking, did they just not make the new one available? And so when I logged in, it was the old one. I haven't taken regular funding training in a long time, because I've been taking financial officer training, and they haven't changed my status. So I have to reach out, but now I'm just wondering if there's just a lot of things going wrong. I have a confirmation that I completed it. But we all have.
I can look into mine tomorrow because I did all my trainings fairly recently because they expired within the past year. So if there's a new one for me, then it should be the right one. So I can look into that tomorrow for you.
Okay, oops, I have to plug in the battery. So, I don't have any other president's report. Oh, no, what's kids?
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, they've kid-proofed the electric outlet. So I'm just plugging the computer in because it gave me a warning sound. Okay, there we go. All right. Approve agenda items for it's not July, it's really the August governing board meeting. We have to do election of officers. We discussed potentially just extending, we start in August having some of our 1-year appointments expiring, but I wanted to see if it makes any sense, given that we're having this election, to just extend all of the appointees to June 30th. Does that make any sense? I mean, it's something I was, I could put on the board just the item extension of, things, but I would like to vote on that in August. Robbie asked the question, she thought she'd been appointed, well, she probably had been appointed to a 4-year term, and either Sandra or Caesar were appointed, each of them, one of them was appointed to a seat that's also a 4-year, but we had done 1-year appointments. So the big deal with this question, because we could just vote to extend everybody to June 30th. What that would mean is, back to the elections questionnaire, we would have to put all of those seats on the ballot. Even the seats that would expire in 2029. So what we thought of as the 4 years would be a new 2-year seat, and the other people are running for 2031. So we don't have to make that decision in August, but we will need to make that decision in no later than December, or possibly as early as November, because they're going to put a website up where people can be candidates, right? So, but do we want to make a recommendation to the board to extend everybody's seat till June 3rd? Simon, you have your hand up. Now our hands down.
Ask a very delicate question. Have they ever done anything? Because I don't think I've seen them do anything. I'm just curious.
Who them?
The new people who have been, and it's just.
That's including Sandra, Caesar.
No, not Sandra, not Caesar.
Oh, you mean there's a couple of others,
There's
but
just people who I've never seen do anything or be anywhere, so I'm curious.
yeah, I don't think it's differentiated by did they run for office versus were they appointed. Unfortunately, some of the people you're not seeing ran for office and won. They're not appointed members.
So I would like to suggest that since we're so close to an election year, that if they be rolled over to June 30th. And
Right.
Son's question, yeah, I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out what it is that they can do as being a part of the board. So it takes a little time to get your feet wet and figure that out. So if we give them a little more time until June 30th, and at that time then decide what we want to do next, I think that would be.
Well, yeah, it's not quite that simple, but they'll all have all those offices. If all we do is vote in August to extend all of the appointed people to June 30th, then in November, I tell the city clerk that all of those offices are on the ballot. And people have to run for their seats. But for the August meeting, all we need to do is vote to extend. And then we need to have some quiet conversations with a couple of people who were appointed and are sitting in technically, seats that the seat itself is a 2029 seat and not a 2027 seat. I think there's two people.
All I
And
have to say is that I'm glad that everyone in my region are active because I would
Right.
hate to have a person sit there and do nothing and just fill a seat because I think that does more to lower the effectiveness and the, you know, and honor the work that other people do who are participating. So I'm just glad that, you guys and the people in my region are active. And I'm just very proud of that.
well, I'm glad you're glad, and you should be glad because my region only has one person appointed who we never see, and the other one is vacant. So I totally get your point. I'm just saying. But there you are, one's vacant and one's barely participating. For the election of officers, I guess I should just be bold and ask Candace and Hunter and myself, are we wanting to come back? Are we not wanting to come back? What do I tell board members? And I will say my thoughts that are more related to Candace. On the assumption that Michael is coming back, which I also don't know, wants to come back as vice president. I would like whoever is signatory to work as an assistant treasurer.
Oh, so how about,
Well, be the person who gathers all the material for NPGs, can't file them,
right,
could be a card holder, for sure. But in other words, get some assistance on the financial side. Because we don't need someone who's just doing BACs and signing. Because Michael's already just doing BACs and signing, assuming he's coming back, which I have to check in with him.
I also think that helps with,
And training the person
Well,
to
it
be the
helps-
next
yeah.
treasurer.
it helps with the creep, because I think people hear treasurer, I was too new to know what I was getting into. So it took me about 2 years, but a year and a half to really get into swing of things, so. It is a time consuming job, but once you figure it out, you kind of hit a flow, but I think
Right.
people are kind of like, oops.
But I would,
So,
but
but
that's
I
what I'm
do
saying.
think it's good to have,
If we can make that position, the one we call signatory,
Mhm.
the person who's in training to expand.
no, I'm fine with that.
And the pull, that anytime we have an MPG, it's like, it's not simply someone says, I want money. And then somehow by some miracle,
Yeah.
it's submitted to the city. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be collected after the board has made its vote. And put in one folder so the treasurer can then upload a payment request. Similarly, the event requests, sometimes you just need to be pulling from all sorts of places. And I would like to train somebody who can do that. I'm using the I word. I have no idea if someone else is running for president. I'm willing to keep the job. I'm willing to give it away. If someone totally wants to be president, but I'm using the I word on the assumption that I'm probably up for another year unless somebody really, really wants to be president.
I have a point I would like to make. I hope that you do stay because you are the brain trust of UNNC, and with all the changes that you know about how things change and how they have been, it takes someone like you that has the experience of being around, and we so appreciate that. As the same, I would like to say for Candace, the reason why part of the reason why it took you a while, because you're really good at being a treasurer, was because of all the little loopholes that they decided to add along the way to make it difficult. So it's not you, it's just that the position. I would say I'm so mad at is it done? Is that yeah, I'm so mad
Well,
that
the city clerk, they're both of them.
I'm done with them. I'm done with them because they do
Oh,
too much
yeah, with
unnecessary
our-
stuff for volunteers. And on another thing I would like to express, it's really hard to get people to volunteer these days, and we have to brand it to make people more interested in being involved. So far, people that come on the board come to sit because we don't make it seem like it's anything of importance. Once again, how can we say that we have all these neighborhood council reps and they don't represent their neighborhood? I think it has to be some kind of a training or something before they just, somebody invites a friend to join the board and they just come and sit with their friend. I think they have to know what it entails more than just saying, oh, would you like to be on the board? Because they see board as a shareholder. They don't see it as a person that volunteers in their neighborhood. And we have to brand it differently to get people excited about being a treasurer or the signatory. These people come to the meeting, they don't want to do nothing but sit.
I have a question or thought about this. Similar in my day job, we're trying to figure out how to transfer the responsibility from me doing all the things to getting people to have ownership in the leadership of what's happening. So do you have any ideas for the three of you? Like what would you need to hear in order to be like, want to be a leader or I want to join, because I know it's even hard to like find people to be committee chairs, let alone like the treasurer or the communications person or the president. So do y'all have any ideas of how, not just telling them like what the job is, but how do we get people to actually have like buy-in to the ownership of it?
I remember we
Because
had a
they apply, but then, you know, once they're in it, it's sometimes, for some folks, it's a little bit.
Hunter,
I think people don't know what the jobs entail. I know one year we had like a little write-up of what each one does and the expectation for each of the like executive committee roles. Maybe even just something like that that people can read over while they're at the meeting and see like, oh, I can do this. That might help. But I mean, it'll only help so much. You're right. Like people don't even want to be the committee chairs, never mind the freaking treasurer.
We have to find a way to make it more enticing so people can see themselves doing it. I don't know what that would be, because I feel like leaders are born, right? You can't force somebody to be a volunteer. If they've never volunteered at anything, they think it's exciting to come out once a month. I'm sorry to take up your time, guys. Come out once a month and just sit there and shake their head like, you know, bobbleheads. But they have no significant, I don't know how because that's innate in people. You know, back in the day, in 1900s, people used to love to volunteer. Even on the Friends of the Jefferson Branch Library, that we had a big group of volunteers. But somehow after 2020, I guess with COVID, it's just really hard in every facet to get people to volunteer. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you entice people. Do we have to start having different little activities in between our meetings? I don't know if people want to do that because they have kids and they don't want to come out.
Well, Sunmin has her hand up and then I have a thought.
Well, the one thing I'd ask that I thought would be more helpful for the stakeholders is if every board member or every chairperson had at least a little blurb about what their goal was in their role. Like I'm very mission and goal oriented, so I'm like, I want to do, beautification. And if I see somebody who's like their main reason for being in UNNC is like they love trees or they love this or their goal is to get, like safe streets on, a stop sign, something very specific, then I can go to them and say, hey, I want to join what you're doing because, as opposed to like right now, I mean, I guess this is recorded, but like I'm not really all that big on like just clean up, and stuff like that. So when Elizabeth's like, oh, let's do clean up, I'm like, oh, please, I'll do something else, but maybe not that, So at least I can kind of navigate as a stakeholder, like the things I want to do and the things I don't want to do and not feel guilted into things that I don't want to do. So a little bit more information about what everybody's, because you guys have all been there for a long time and you guys all do a lot of stuff, but some of the newer people, the people who are inactive, I have no idea why they're there.
Right, well, this is Laura speaking because we're being transcribed. I have tried to this past year try to match people to their passion, but you have to do it one person at a time. I mean, I'm really grateful that Robbie is like kind of suddenly coming, I mean, she's got her roles dual because Economic Development Committee and the budget advocate. Caesar is clear. Anyway, it's trying to match people to their passion. And I'm trying to do that, but it's literally trying to talk to them one-on-one, one at a time, one-on-one, and seeing what they can do. there will always be governing board members who cannot take on a big leadership role in a big passion project. They have ideas, but they can't move them to the finish line. And that's okay, because we have to learn to really to accept people for who they are and
They shouldn't be on the board then.
be who they are. Well, no, I mean, I don't think, if they're passionate about, they're gonna work our outreach events and that's all they're gonna do, but they're gonna do it all the time. I am okay with that because it does mean I don't have to go to all of them. But not everybody's gonna organize a resource fair, for example. It's just not, yeah.
But when you see people, Chef Marilyn coming to 3 meetings, asking
Yes.
the board to like vote on her livelihood, I want to make sure that the people who are voting know that their vote is impacting somebody's life. That's what I want to
Right.
know. And if you're gonna take, that's why I'm like, I'm gonna take a, I'm like, well, I'm not, I'm like, I want to make sure that, people are serious and you guys are all serious. So I like respect you guys, So I'm just, I think that that's having that high standard of accountability and making sure that whoever is going to sit on a board gets there with like this is the reason why I'm here. I'm here for my constituents. I'm here for the stakeholders. I'm here for somebody or for something, for the trees, the dogs, the cats, I don't know, something that I think would make UNNC better.
Okay, well, anyway, I am going to say, we'll just need to finish it. That's on the agenda for, this item is, the agenda items. We will have to have, some sort of discussion and decision on what we're writing, assuming the file is kept open, on the, revocation case on the oil drilling. Based on whatever happens this coming Thursday. And I'm going to trust that Steve Peckman will lead the charge on that. That'll need to be on the agenda. And when I say trust, I mean he's actually the chair, along with Chris Carlson, of the subcommittee for oil drilling that we actually have had for some years. And no doubt there are other things on the agenda, including the elections worksheet and our presentation. So to not embarrass anybody, Hunter, Candace, just let me know privately if you're going to be running again or not.
Oh, okay.
And
I'll run again. Like I said before, I don't really want to do both director of communication and secretary. I would like somebody to take one of those, but I'll be in one of those capacities for sure.
Yeah.
right.
Which
Yeah,
one do you like more, Hunter? Which one do you want to do more?
I would rather stay on as secretary because I don't like doing all the website stuff. Like that's not what I'm good at,
Okay. That's good. That's honest. I like that. And I appreciate all of you guys. And I hope that, sorry, I would like for you all to stay. Please stay, Candace. Please.
Yeah. Well, I kind of feel like the 4 of us.
I think it's the 3. I'm not sure about
team.
Michael. I'm not sure about Michael too much.
Oh, well, trust me, I need him.
I'm not feeling his vibe like that.
Yeah, I understand, but yeah, definitely need him, just so you know, because he's the back office.
Okay.
Just so you know. Yeah, he does the back office.
Yeah, I know that,
but he may not, I don't know. I mean, his life is really busy. And his in-laws live in another country and they're here some of the year, and then the family is there some of the year, and the kids are growing up.
Okay, yeah, we don't need to air out his dirty laundry on YouTube. Yeah. Let's keep it moving.
That's not dirty laundry, but I admire that he shows up. So
sure, I'll stay. I think once I get used to doing something, it's probably faster, and then I would have to be treasurer anyway until they were fully trained, and then at that point I just end up being treasurer.
Right.
So
good news.
I do like the idea of an heir apparent. That is great.
Yeah.
So
that's a good way to put it.
I don't, like I said, I was volunteering.
Well, look, I like the idea of someone who has a second credit card.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of ridiculous that we only have one.
So we could work on that, and the signatory, I could spend time with them at our meetings and stuff and just say, well, this is how you do MPG, and here's what they look for, and here's what they don't. Versus them already being treasurer and have to go through some of the trial and error that I did. So save them a lot of late nights uploading stuff.
Okay. And Sandra, since you've had a lot, don't say it here, but since you've interfaced with a number of our other board members, just let me know privately if you think any of the people you're working with would be a good candidate for that financial position. So, okay.
I know, and shout out to the outreach chair, because we didn't have one for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, I think we're hitting a stride, and I appreciate that work. So,
Okay. All right. And the other thing, obviously, for any executive officer position, the person has to come to all the board meetings, and they really ought to come to all these meetings.
don't we have to?
Mhm.
I thought we had to come to these.
I think
Yeah,
so.
right. I didn't think that they were optional.
I am making a quiet remark. So, okay.
Very proud of you all. Very proud.
All right, is there anything else under old business? I think we could go on. We did not make it to not having a 2-hour meeting.
Shocker.
Time is gonna take up as much space as you give it.
Yeah.
I've learned that.
All right, okay, we're gonna